Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm pleased today to have this distinguished panel who are going to discuss with us, with all of you, how can we learn from the successful experience of the renewable energy IPP procurement program of the South African government when it comes to potentially replicating it in other African countries. Where the African Development Bank comes from in this perspective is that we see, when we look at the diagnostic about the gap in infrastructure investment in the continent, energy sector is the dire situation where we need tens of billions of dollars a year of investment. If you flip it around, these are all investment opportunities for the private sector, to the extent that a good percentage of these investments could be made commercially viable and attract private investments. However, this means that there is a lot of work to be done on the government side to start or jumpstart these investments, to set up the right enabling environment, to build the capacity of the ministries and the utility to structure these projects properly, to procure the private investors, and then to provide them with bankable documentation and credit enhancements. All this value chain are aspects where the African Development Bank intervenes, and we see that there is a huge potential to do more in this respect, and some of it learning from the South African experience. So we work with the African governments to advise them, to provide technical assistance to the ministries, to the utility, to the regulators, to provide credit enhancements on the power purchase agreements in cases where the utility financials are not deemed good enough for a 25-year type of contractual undertakings, in addition to investing into complementary infrastructure, public infrastructure, that helps evacuate this power and make it possible to absorb. This, of course, in addition to all the private sector tools that we have to provide financing and investment. So in our work on the continent, we are always interested to see how can we do a step change. The current momentum is not sufficient. Seeing one project close every few years per country is not going to get us there. How do we do several projects a year? I think the South African experience has been one where, after many years of preparation and maybe doubts, the floodgates have opened and we've seen tens of projects come to the market. We want this to happen everywhere else.
Doing business in Africa, you can't afford to be without Africa Investor.